Hi folks, it's Jason again. This week I've decided that I want to talk a little Major League Baseball. As I said, with this being my vlog, I'm going to talk a little about everything. This time, I want to talk about the Cubs. And a lot of moves have been made. Free agent period's pretty much over, other than a few little signings here and there. So this is pretty much what the Cubs have done. Gone are Kerry Wood, who was their closer, starting second baseman Mark DeRosa, utility infielder Ronnie Cedeno, outfielder Jim Edmonds, relief pitchers Michael Wirtz and Bob Howry, backup catcher Henry Blanco, pitcher Jason Marquis, pitcher Rich Hill, and outfielder Felix Pie. All these guys are gone. I do think that some of them will go on, have decent careers. You know, Howry with the Giants, I think he has a chance to rebound, do very good things there. Kerry Wood, Mark DeRosa, who are with the Indians now, I think will really help that franchise, and if it helps screw over the White Sox, I'm all for that too. So I do wish them nothing but the best. Ronnie Cedeno will be with Seattle, possibly becoming the starting shortstop there, or he could end up being the backup to Betancourt. I don't know. It could go either way. Henry Blanco ended up with the Padres, and we ended up paying $50,000 more to get Paul Bacco. That move to me is kind of a wash, though I just don't see the point of having Paul Bacco just because he's a left-handed bat versus Henry Blanco, who really helped Giovanni Soto when he won Rookie of the Year. To me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, and Blanco really mentored him and really did those intangibles well, and that has to be said for something, at least in my opinion. Rich Hill and Felix Pie both ended up in separate trades going to Baltimore. I think that they're both two very young, very talented young guys. I hope they do well in Baltimore and rebuild their value, because honestly, because of their struggles, they were never going to get a chance to be the starters in Chicago. Wasn't happening. But I do wish them the best, when it comes to what they do in Baltimore. And some of the additions we've added, Kevin Gregg, who was with the Florida Marlins and was their closer last year, I think he's probably going to be the setup man. He may end up becoming the closer, depending on how they do with Carlos Marmol, who is the favorite to win the closer job. I think either way, the 8th and 9th inning really should do very well. We also added relievers Aaron Hellman and Jose Vizcaíno, and I think those were good moves because Wirtz really struggled, Howry really struggled, and I think that this really helps inject a little bit more youth, a little better arms, into the lineup. And I think, especially, when it comes to that bullpen, they needed to get a little younger, and I think this really helped overall. Now the question is can those guys live up to what is going to be a pressure cooker in Chicago, because this is a team expected to be able to compete for a shot at a World Series championship this year. They have to be good, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on them. So I'm hoping that those two can live up and be as good as they're capable of being. Of course, I mentioned earlier that we got Paul Bacco. He's a good backup catcher, but truthfully, for $50,000 less, we would have been able to keep Henry Blanco in this economy. And they're roughly the same age. The only difference is Bacco bats left-handed, and the Cubs were severely short on left-handed bats. So guess what? They add Paul Bacco. I really don't see with the upgrade, offensively or defensively, but I don't see it as being a huge liability. So it really is a wash. They did add Milton Bradley as one of the as their real big signing. I really am not. Part of me really hates this move, just simply with his temper and with the way he reacts to criticism from fans, coaches, other players. That's got to scare you. I mean, and I'm sorry, but until he proves himself that he isn't going to sit there and spit at fans or try to fight fans or do whatever, he's not going to get in fights with teammates or coaches. He's not going to throw temper tantrums until he proves to me he can go and do that on a consistent basis. I'm going to be a little reserved and a little scared about this. Just how I feel. I mean, do I appreciate the fact that the guy can hit? Yes, he can hit. I'm not disputing the man's talent. He is a talented player, and I think he will do a lot to help stabilize right field for the next couple of years. But he's got to stay on the field. Because another concern outside of the suspensions for his temper is, can he stay healthy? And I certainly hope he can. But yeah, I have yet to see him play more than 125 games, I think, in his entire career, and that kind of scares me too. I don't want to sit here and have to worry that we're not going to have outfielders who aren't capable of playing at least 140 games. I'm not talking about overusing the guys, but I do think if you don't get your starters into at least 140, you have no chance of the division. And while St. Louis didn't really do anything to get better, as a matter of fact, I think in some ways they may have gotten worse. I do think that Houston, if they can keep their pitchers healthy, they're going to be in it. Milwaukee, because of that offense, is going to be in it. And Cincinnati worked hard. They may not have made a lot of major moves, but the moves they made gave them the depth they lacked last year. That pitching staff's young and getting better and better all the time. You can't underestimate the Reds. So I'm just hoping we keep our guys healthy, because we can't afford to lose a lot. We also made a move for Aaron Miles, who's an infielder. Some have viewed him to possibly be the starting second baseman. Personally, for my money, I want to see what Mike Fontenot can do at that position. Give Fontenot the job. Let Miles come off the bench as the super sub. Let him play second and short, third, a couple outfield, every now and then in the outfield. And, let him do that kind of stuff that DeRosa occasionally had to do. But don't take away from Fontenot being able to be the starter. Because honestly, Mike Fontenot deserves that shot. He proved last year in a limited duty he could produce quite well. I think that if he gets a chance to start, he's going to prove why he is as good as he is. The other addition that was made was outfielder Joey Gaithright. And Joey Gaithright, he's going to produce a little left-handed bat, a defensive sub, maybe in late innings, pinch runner, a lot of team speed. He's going to help in that area because we don't have a whole lot of guys who can run. And I think as a fifth outfielder, we could do a lot worse. And I think, again, if he stays healthy, he should be productive enough. And I think overall he'll be pretty solid. He'll be better than what Felix Pie, I think, was last year for the Cubs. Well, that's pretty much all I've got to say. I'm looking forward to anybody who wants to respond, video or text or whatever. See what you've got to say on the subject. But until next time, this is Jason signing off.